idea what their interests are, so they can then take off into into those different areas. At the middle school, we like to have a collaborative environment. Students need to learn how to work with all types of learners in all types of situations. So, we really promote a collaborative environment here at the middle school, and we want to create problem solvers. Okay, we really want to create learners, or young adults, children that are going to move into young adults and adulthood that are ready for jobs that haven't been invented yet. So when we think about the middle school, that's where we're really at. We really want to teach them the skills so they can adapt to the real world as it changes rapidly on the outside. In the middle school philosophy, we also have our teams. So we place students on teams randomly. And that includes your core subjects, your English, your math, your social studies, and science. And the idea here is that your child will have the shared teachers. So if they're struggling or they need some support, the teachers can talk as a team, and work things out and have some meetings and things like that to really support your child. So the team model is essential at the middle school. It allows us to do team building activities as well as support your child. So that's and of course, at the middle school setting, if we were on teams, we do have some flexible time during the day if all students are on team, we can do some support with some interventions, have intervention blocks, like I said, team building activities, really teach kids what it's all about to be a part of a team and to learn from one another and learn in teams. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to my assistant principal, Mr. Jim Carlson. He's going to take us through a typical day and what that looks like at the Pawtucket Middle School.
All right, great. Terry, thank you very much. So again, I'm Jim Carlson, the assistant principal here at the middle school. I'm entering my 4th year. I remember it wasn't that long ago when my kids, who are juniors now in high school, were transitioning from the Bagnell School here at the middle school. So certainly as a parent, you're wondering what's the day look like, what's going to happen, and they're meeting new friends, and all the towns are coming together. So I certainly do remember being in your shoes and thinking about that transition to middle school. So a typical day starts at 7 o'clock. We open the doors for kids who were dropped off. So we certainly have a group of kids who parents will drop them off at 7 o'clock. When we open up definitely earlier than the elementary schedule, and the kids will go right into the cafeteria, and then we'll have breakfast served. So kids will slowly start coming in, and then the buses will start anywhere between 7:10 and 7:20. The buses will pull up here in front of the middle school, and kids will get off the buses, and we funnel them right into the cafeteria because at 7:25 is when they'll start moving to their first period class. And anywhere between 7:25, as you see there, 7:25 to 7:35 is attendance. So kids will have up until 7:35 to get in the building into their class to be marked present for the day. And like I said, 7:25 to 7:35 is attendance taking. And then the kids will slowly start transitioning to 7 periods. And Mr. Conan talked about it, different personalities, different teachers. There's certainly movements involved there, 52-minute classes moving through, which a lot of kids will like, getting up out of their seats and moving to different teachers. There's certainly some juggling and balancing different teachers and different styles and personalities. We also have lunches by grade. So the 7th graders will eat together and the 8th graders will eat together. And that's a really good chance for myself, Mr. Conant, Ms. Simone, who's in there for lunch, to get a good chance to get to know kids and get them eating together as a grade, as a class. And then we do the opposite at 2:15, the school day ends. Kids will then go to their buses. They'll be all lined up here in front of the middle school. Generally, Merrimack is the first row of buses, West Newbury in the middle, and Groveland is near the end. So we'll generally the first week or two of school, we'll be out there helping kids get to find their buses. And the kids who get rides home will funnel in back into the cafeteria at the end of the school day. And when all the buses leave, the caboose of all the parents will come up and pick up all the kids getting rides home. So it takes a little while, but the kids get the routine. They'll understand moving from class to class and kind of how the day goes. But it's a fun time seeing, especially the 7th graders transition into our kind of our culture, our, a whole day. So that it's pretty interesting to see them grow up a little bit in a week. So that's it. That's our typical day. I think I'm back in the schedule. I'll be talking about 504s as assistant principal. I also coordinate 504. So, and if there's any questions, and certainly I want to remind, if you have any questions, I know there's a lot of folks, if you want to type any questions in the chat box, and we'll try maybe at the end to kind of shift through those. So if you wouldn't mind typing in some questions. So again, Jim Carlson, thank you for coming tonight, and look forward to meeting your children when that day comes and getting to know them. Back to Terry.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Carlson. And just one key point here, I know at the elementary school, you're used to starting school a little bit later. So the middle school schedule starts, starts a little bit earlier in the day, 7:25 in the morning. So it is a little bit different, but I think you'll kind of enjoy that in the back end. If any of the students are listening, I think you'll enjoy that in the back end when you get out at 2:15, and then if you wanted to stay for some extra help, you're still out of the building by 3 o'clock, and have some time to enjoy yourselves and be a kid and go out and play and do all those fun things. So that's really the big change. And also, too, as Mr. Carlson said, the lunch with the 7th grade, we allow students to sit wherever they would like in the lunchroom. So that's where there's an opportunity there for, if a student, has a best friend or for instance, that ends up on the other team, it's a good time for them to catch up and hang out, as well as, some of the specials that your students will experience during the year are, they are put in, both teams do go into the same classes, so it's an opportunity to see their friends there as well. So next up, we have our course offerings. So I'm going to invite Miss Yarrow. She's one of our 7th grade math teachers, and she's going to talk about, they talk about the math curriculum in math in 7th grade.
Good evening, everybody. I'm happy to be talking to you tonight, and I honestly can't wait to meet your children. I've been at the middle school for a few years now, and as every middle school teacher knows, we find middle school students to be incredibly amusing. And I know as parents that may not always be the case, but it is true as teachers. They make me laugh every day. There are 2 different math classes. There are 3 different math teachers at the middle school for 7th grade. Louise Terrian and Danielle Oliva are part of my team. And we teach Math 7 and an accelerated course as well. And I call Math 7 life skills math. It's all the things that as adults we use on a regular basis, percents, ratios, statistics and probability. Well, maybe you don't use equations on a regular basis, but I kind of do. So equations is in that. And we sprinkle geometry throughout the year as well and do a nice little review at the end. The accelerated course handles all of those topics plus a few more, like exponent rules, Pythagorean theorem, and a linear module as well. But again, I look forward to hearing them. If you have any questions about any of this, I do want to say one thing about the accelerated course. It is the hardest class at the middle school. And I am not joking about that. It is by far the most difficult class at the middle school. And the kids that are doing it this year, they are rock stars. If you think about what they're going through, and they're handling it like champs. So I want you to think about if you're thinking about accelerated, there are criteria for getting in, but more than that, you need to think about the maturity of your child and if they can handle the workload that comes with it. But I'm happy to answer any questions you have about that. Turn it over to the next person.
All right, thank you, Ms. Yarrow. So just a little bit of information on the accelerated program. So this week, actually the end of last week, the elementary schools received the placement exam for grade 7. So over the course of this week and next week, your child should be taking the placement exam for grade 7. So we can look at that data and certainly place your child in the correct class. The last thing we want to do is put a student in a class that's not ready, as Ms. Yarrow said. So therefore we're looking at different types of data, such as the placement exam, looking at the iReady scores. You probably heard about that when we have our benchmarks over the course of the year. So we can use multiple measures when we look at that. But it is a difficult class, so we want to make sure we have multiple data points before making decisions on students. So thank you for that, Ms. Yaros. And next up, we have Ms. Goldstein from our English department.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight or joining us tonight. So for ELA, every 7th grader will take the grade level English Language Arts class. And a big focus for us is getting them ready for the secondary level. So taking their writing and bringing it to the secondary level. So for example, we teach them the MLA format, which that will serve them well through high school and far beyond. The writing becomes more academic at the secondary level. There is some narrative writing, but the focus will be informative and explanatory writing and some argument writing as well. And the big focus, I would say, for all of those different genres of writing is stating a claim and knowing how to support it with evidence, either from the text that they've read or from research that they've done. And then for reading skills, we focus on analyzing narratives and informational texts. Students read 5 novels over the course of the year. 3 of them we do together as a class, one at the beginning, middle, and end of the year. And then in between those 3 novels, they'll each read 2 more, but via a literature circle. So the students will have some choice out of one of 3 different novels. So over the course of the year, though, they'll read a total of 5. And the focus for the reading is really on theme and comparing different points of view in texts. Also, while reading, we focus a lot on vocabulary. It's really important for students to learn vocabulary in context, not just to increase their own personal vocabulary, but also to get a better understanding of the text. We also pair texts with articles, poems, historical accounts, all different other kinds of short stories, different things like that, so that they connect with literature in a deeper and more meaningful way. And then obviously with all of that, we continue to practice grammar skills that they've learned. We continue to introduce more grammar skills. So that's basically 7th grade ELA in a nutshell.
All right, thank you, Ms. Goldstein. And so I'm kind of amazed with the amount of text that I've seen this year in the English classroom. A lot of cultural text that are cultural awareness and things like that. So I think prior to me coming, one of the first things I did approve when I got here was a book order, and the novels and the literature that they're reading are right on track to the direction we should be heading. So I appreciate all the work they did before I got here to get that set up, because we really do have a nice program, and we're continuing to build it. So thank you again, Ms. Goldstein. Next up, we have Mr. Kalasian and Ms. Fonseca. I think she was going to try to make it to talk about world geography and ancient civilizations.
Hey there. We are in geography and social studies. We are a blended course, very similar to what your students have this year, which if your 6th grader is one of your younger children, you know that's been a bit of a change in the curriculum. 7th grade used to be strictly world geography. Now it is a blending of ancient civilizations and world geography. So we are covering essentially most of Asia. Sorry, we're not doing the Near and Middle East. That's in 6th grade. We cover Europe. And so it is looking at the physical geography, how that impacts history, looking at the cultural geography of past ancient civilizations, as well as modern political geography, where things are now, and with an emphasis to send your children up to the 8th grade civics with a strong foundation, in particular with Greece and Rome and the cultural and political influences that those two cultures had on our founding fathers in setting up our current system. We do our best to suck the joy out of your children's lives and crush their little souls. So any rumors you've heard about middle school being a terrible experience, it's all true. They're going to hate it. It's miserable. It's going to be based on having taught in the 6th grade down at the Bagnell for a few years there and talked to a number of kids. Like Miss Yarrow said, I've been here for a long time, and 7th grade is usually filled with trepidation till about the end of the first week, second week, and everyone goes, whoa, this is really much better than it was. So your kids are going to be nervous. You're going to be anxious and nervous, but it really is going to be a wonderful experience for them.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kalasian. Next up, we have Miss Stone from our science department.
Hello, everyone. I'm here to talk about the 7th grade science curriculum. So myself and Mr. DeCoste are the two 7th grade science teachers. The way that the curriculum is structured by the state, we actually focus on 3 areas of science. The first area is life science, so kind of like a biology mini course, where we talk about characteristics of living things, ecosystems, the terms biotic and abiotic, and food webs and food chains, a little bit of photosynthesis, and we talk about flowers and plants a little bit as well in that section. And then usually right around the new year, we'll switch over to earth science and spend some time talking about how the Earth's surface constantly changing. That's one of our big objectives. So we first kind of look at it globally, plate tectonics, and then we bring it down to weathering and erosion. And then we end the year with the students' favorite part, which is physical science. And they tend to like that part of science the most because it really lends itself to a lot of hands-on activities. We build balloon cars or put together balloon cars. We do a lot of things with ramps and matchbox cars. In the past, we've also built roller coasters, which have been fun, and rockets as well. So the kids really love the hands-on piece. Of course, we try to build that into the entire curriculum. Haven't been doing as much of it this year, sadly, but it'll be back for next year. And they tend to really love science class. They love the hands-on components for sure. And we make it really fun for them. So they seem to enjoy it. And that's pretty much the science curriculum for 7th grade year.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Stone. And yeah, and just to kudos to the science department here. I in my previous life, I did teach science for a lot of years. And one of the things I noticed when I first got here was, the hands-on experience, the problem solving that goes on in the science classrooms here. So that immediately caught my eye. And I was so impressed with a lot of the different science that was going on in both 7th and 8th grade and a lot of the hands-on activities. So they do a great job here, and really the best I've seen out there when it comes to science and the hands-on. So they do a great job. Okay, next up we have our wellness. So this is the last of our required courses is wellness. So your child will take wellness for a half a year. That includes health as well as PE. So that they'll take that a half a year, and then the second half of the year there'll be some other electives in place. And as 7th graders, we can talk about this. We'll talk about this probably again as we go through the specialists. But we have a wheel where students are getting electives, kind of the basic level electives or specials, if you call them in elementary school, just to get them aware to see what's out there. They might not know that STEM is their thing until they take the class. They might not have been exposed to a certain type of art that really sparks an interest. So in the 7th grade, we really like to give them the basics so they can start to spark some of those interests that we talked about before. Before we get into that, let me turn it over to Ms. Goldweber and Ms. Maloney, our wellness staff.
Good evening, everyone. We certainly look forward to meeting all your children next year. So my name's Carrie Maloney. I am the health teacher end of the wellness department. Mrs. Goldweber will follow up after me to talk about physical education. So yeah, we join together. The students take wellness generally for half a year, and they rotate. They do 1 week of health class, and then they go down to physical education for 1 week, and then they just keep rotating every other week. That way they can kind of, have physical activity spread out longer in the year and get outside in the nice weather. So, and as far as health curriculum, you will certainly get some communication from me in the beginning of the year for 7th graders. As far as topics, it really, current events often direct me in my curriculum. This year we had, doing a lot of activities around stress and anxiety due to COVID and our very different lives, and just trying to connect to the kids about, how to cope with everything that's going on in the world. So I'm often gearing my curriculum towards current events, but beyond that, we certainly just talk about what it's like to, what it means to be healthy. And we talk about physical, mental, and social health and what all those areas entail. And it's really a class where they start to reflect on themselves and the choices that they make. We definitely do a review on puberty as they're growing up and getting older. And we do quite a bit on drug abuse and addiction. And, really a lot before going into units like that, we talk a lot about coping with stress, because, that's something that leads, people to having to make tough choices, and directing them to making good choices and setting goals for themselves so they can avoid getting into things, like drugs and addiction. We do a little bit of nutrition, and we do usually a bigger unit in 8th grade. And that's, and like I said, each year kind of depends on, I really like to sense what's going on in the teens' lives and really tie my curriculum to that and what they're dealing with. And then 8th grade, we do some of the review of these topics, and then a few additional ones. So I'm going to give Mrs. Goldweber some time to explain the other half of wellness, which is physical education.
Thank you, Ms. Maloney. So I'm Mrs. Goldweber, and I really enjoy having the 7th graders for PE because it's a great way to have them collaborate and work together with all 3 towns coming together. We start off the semester with team building skills. We also cover the 5 health components of fitness, and we cover a wide range of individual and team sports. We take advantage of the good weather when it's out there, and we get onto the tennis courts, and we get onto the track as well. In my class, we encourage, obviously, fair play, and it's a great opportunity for the students to kind of problem solve when things might not be fair. If a team is up ahead, what do? We strategize. So the students are really doing a great job figuring out how to communicate with each other and work together, and they definitely test out their social skills. Before COVID, we did have a 5-minute window at the start of class and a 5-minute window at the end where they would have their own gym lockers and change out for class. However, this year we have shut down the locker rooms and not offered that. So who knows what next year will bring, but we do talk about hygiene as well and encourage that. And it's really just a great class for the kids to kind of let off some energy, let off some steam in a fun and safe environment. I also hope that maybe next year I'll be able to offer up again my open gym after school club where the kids can just come on in and play some pickup games and have some fun socializing too. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know.
All right, thank you so much. And next up, we have, we're going to get into our specials now. So again, we have a wide range of specials here at the middle school. Ton of great classes to take. So from our fine arts department, we have Miss Nadeau. She's our department head for the fine arts department. She's going to talk about some of those fine art offerings.
Hi, thank you. My name is Marcia Nadeau. I'm the department chair for Fine and Performing Arts. So tonight I'm going to speak about some of the great opportunities that your children are going to have as they move to the secondary level. they will be building on or being introduced to a variety of disciplines in the arts. And we're really fortunate at Pentucket to have a very talented and dedicated staff in each of the disciplines. And regardless of the discipline, the curriculums are going to focus on three major things. One would be technical skill, really getting into applying some of these skills to build their confidence and their ability. Also, the academic knowledge, whether it's vocabulary or history of that discipline, we integrate that into our teaching in a way that is fun and not and just really beneficial, so that more students engage in their work. Students, the big thing is the students will be working with intention, and that's going to challenge them intellectually, which will also engage them in their learning. And that's truly where the fun becomes, and it's very rewarding for the students. Some things that are different than they're experiencing in elementary school, these classes will meet daily, which is really just so beneficial. I can't even speak about the benefit of seeing these students every day. There were a few years in my teaching, I've been at Pentucket for a while, that students didn't meet every day. And when we went to the 5-day format, the learning went through the roof. So that's excellent. In the visual arts, students are going to be taking studio art. So we don't have a set of lessons. Teachers get to know the group. The students have say and choices in what they do, but they will be working in 2D, 3D. Digital art is a possibility in this course. Photography, painting. This semester I have a class, we're planning on doing all of them. There are exhibition opportunities throughout the years in the visual arts. So we invite students to participate in that. And in theater, communication and performing arts is what your child will be taking. And what that is, it's the fundamentals of public speaking and theater arts. So in Mrs. McGowan develops really dynamic lessons that are engaging and fun for the students to help them develop strong communication skills and become confident actors. Many of our students enjoy participating in the fall and the spring plays. And I know in elementary school, you also have those opportunities. So we're looking forward to seeing what your children do on stage. In the music instrumental ensembles, I'm going to talk about instrumental. The choral ensemble, we have Carrie Mclennan. She's the choral director. She's going to be giving you more information about the music electives in chorus in particular. So I'm not going to speak too much about that. I'm just going to mention the music instrumental ensembles. This is the year a lot of your students have had 3 years of working hard in the elementary level in the music program and working on musicianship and getting instrumental instruction. So we offer concert and jazz band, orchestra, percussion, and each spring we participate in competitions and music festivals, including our favorite Six Flags New England. We are an award-winning program. So if your student currently has instrumental instruction, be sure to select the performing ensemble on your course selection form that corresponds with your child's instrument or voice. Email, and I would suggest you email your child's current director if you have any questions about next year's program. But I also want to invite students that may not have had the instrumental instructions. If you think you want to join one of those instructions, you can contact me and I can direct you to the appropriate director so that we can work with you in advance to be sure that your child is well prepared, supported, and feels comfortable joining an ensemble that many of their peers may have had the lessons at the elementary level. But we don't want to exclude anyone if they're really interested in joining. But on the same token, we want to make sure that they're prepared and they have a great experience. Pentucket Arts, it's a great place to be. Students find their voice in the arts, and they just find a different way to communicate. And sometimes it makes just really rounds out their school experience. So thank you. I'm so happy to see so many families here tonight and to have the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Fine and Performing Arts. Kerry is out there, I believe, Mr. Conant.
Yep, she is. Yep, she is.
Will be speaking. Thanks so much, everyone. And I look forward to meeting your children.
All right, thank you, Miss Dado. And next up, so let's just hop right over to choir with Miss Mclennan. So she'll talk about some of the different choir options as well as some of those music ensembles. So I'm gonna turn it over to Miss Mclennan.
Hi, everybody. My name is Carrie Mclennan. I am the choir director at the middle school and high school. And like Miss Nato just mentioned, you guys are in for a treat. I am super excited. I love teaching middle school choir. I love teaching choir, but middle school choir always has a special place in my heart. I'm going to keep this super brief, I promise. But I just wanted to make a connection with you because unlike the instrumental ensembles, kids might have a totally different experience in choir with different teachers, or maybe they didn't sing in elementary school or they had elementary general music. But once we get to middle school, it's a really awesome transition where kids are suddenly elevated into more of a choir experience rather than class singing, which might sound the same to you, but it is quite different, especially this year because your poor 6th grade children are missing out on singing in the building. And, it's been tough, but hopefully the fact that we haven't had much music going on in the last year or so will inspire more kids to be engaged in these music electives. But specifically for choir, it is a different and elevated experience. We do sing in 2- and 3-part harmony year round. If your child loves to sing, or if you know anybody who loves to, or any kid, coming in 7th grader, please. I would love to include parents too, but sorry. But please send them my way. Have them choose middle school choir on their electives forms that are coming out on Infinite Campus. I know they'll talk about that later, I'm sure. But there is no experience necessary. Just make sure the only prerequisites, I suppose, for choir is just to have a positive attitude, an open mind, and of course the desire to sing, because we do sing every day. Like I mentioned, if you didn't sing, or if your child didn't sing in elementary school, that's okay. They don't need to have that experience, and they're totally welcome now. And if you have any questions, just let me know. My email can be found online, or you can obviously just email the school and they can point you in the right direction. So thanks so much for your time, and I look forward to meeting you and your kids next year.
All right, thank you so much. And that form that Ms. Mclennan was talking about, which should be going out next week. So yeah, we just want to get some numbers. We're starting our scheduling process. We just want to get some of those numbers, preliminary numbers for choir and some of the ensembles. So look out for that from your elementary principal. We'll send it out through them. As we know from the previous night we had this scheduled, I was unable to email you, even though I thought I could. So we're going to go through your elementary principals on that. So let's take a look out for that. And the big thing there is, kids are constantly changing their interests and getting into some different things and finding new things. So yeah, no prior experience needed. If your child would like to play an instrument, like to sing in the choir, we'd love to have them. We'd love to have those ensembles as large as possible. So thank you both ladies for that. So now we're going to transition to our support services. And our support services include our special education, and our school psychologist. We'll talk about, our DCAP, which is a district curriculum accommodation plan, and 504. And then our guidance counselors are going to talk a little bit about their role. So next up, we have Ms. Dolan, who is our special ed coordinator here at the middle school.
Hello, everyone. I apologize that I cannot get my camera to work. However, that is a picture of me on there. That's pretty accurate. It's not too long ago. I am the special ed coordinator, and a few of you I've already met. I've already started attending all of the 6th grade transition meetings. So if your student is on an IEP, you will see me before the end of this year. And I come to the IEP meeting so that we can talk about how your special ed services will look at middle school. And the general answer to that is that they will look as similar as possible to what worked in the elementary school. So we don't do enormous amount of changing to service deliveries, and we don't do an enormous amount of changing of their modifications, their accommodations. The middle school really is designed with the 12 and 13-year-old in mind. And what we do is just transition them to a place where they're more independent in their skills and get ready for high school. So if your child is maybe going through this process for the first time and is starting out with an initial evaluation this year, I also come to those. And if they end up on an IEP, then you're assigned a liaison at the middle school that loops with your child for both grades. So you'll have the same contact, the same caseworker that goes both to 7th and 8th grade with your student. And the team of teachers that we have in school are not just inclusion special ed teachers, but we also have all of the programs under one roof for the first time. So if you are a parent of a student who maybe was in a language-based program but had to go to school in, a town that's not where you live, that no longer exists. So you have the regular bus and they take you to school, and we have all of our abilities to also do kind of a hybrid delivery. So we're able to pull from the strengths of each of our programs, and they're run by lead teachers who are experts in their field with multiple years of experience. I'm very, very lucky to work with a special ed staff that has been intact for a long time. We work very closely with the guidance department, and we have a school psychologist, and we're going to hear from them next.
All right, Ms. Azarito.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Abby Azarito, and I'm the school psychologist at the middle school. Thank you all for being here tonight. So, like Erin said, I mainly work within the student support services and special education departments, supporting students' social emotional needs, supporting those programs that she just talked about, and conducting evaluations in the special education department. I also work within our student support team, which is our kind of administrative guidance team that supports whole school needs. So I do a lot of consultation with the general education teachers as well regarding academic interventions, different strategies that can be used, any social emotional concerns. And I also do a lot of work to kind of help inspire that positive middle school culture school-wide. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat, and I'll pass the baton off to the next speaker.
All right, Mr. Carlson, you are up to talk about our district curriculum accommodation plan as well as 504s.
All right, great. So one of the biggest things that we pride ourselves in is learning how and learning more about your student, how they learn, getting to know them, getting to know their strengths, areas of need. And one thing that's important is our district curriculum accommodation plan is subtle things, academic interventions that our teachers can do as they see your student, how they learn. Are they more visual than auditory? Do they like more hands-on? Subtle things that are great for all kids, but really focusing on your particular student and how they learn. Those are for kids who maybe not have a 504 plan. And then with kids with 504 plans, we'd like to really meet you and have you tell us about your child and how they learn. And what you'll see as a child of a student on a 504, we will start scheduling meetings very soon in the beginning of the year. We really want you to hopefully in person see all the teachers, and you can really tell us about your child and how they learn, what really meets their needs. And we'll be scheduling those things right in the beginning of the year for all of our 504 students. And if you have any questions, or maybe your student wants a visit or something building wise that you think is an accommodation they need, you can always contact the school and we'll arrange that. But typically with a student with a 504, September, October is our time. We are having you in here, you're meeting all the teachers on the team and getting to really get to know your student and how they learn. So yeah, that's our DCAP in 504, and really child-centered, really trying to find out how your child learns the best.
All right, thank you, Mr. Carlson. And next up, have our guidance counselors. We have Miss Simone and Miss Sanford.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Sanford. I'm one of the guidance counselors, and I've been at the I've been in the district for about 20 years. I can't believe I'm saying that. And I've worked in various buildings in the district. But this year I was very excited to come back to the middle school, where I split my time between the middle school and the high school.
And I'm Sabrina Simone. I'm the other middle school counselor. I've been at this school for, I think, 9 years now. And as school counselors, Lisa and I are general education service providers. So what that means is we're available to meet with any student, regardless of whether they have a plan. So Lisa and I work to support students academically, socially, and emotionally.
So we see students in a variety of ways. We see them in the classroom to do classroom lessons. We see them individually and in small groups. A lot of that focus may be on time management skills, organization, growth mindset, stress management, coping skills, and honestly, just whatever the students' needs are, we try to meet those needs. So our goal for the students is to help them achieve success academically, socially, and emotionally. So if you ever have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help, and we can't wait to meet your students.
All right, thank you so much. So next up, we have Nurse Landry from our Health Services.
Hello, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. I'm Monique Landry, the Pentucket Middle School nurse, and I just wanted to go over some things that your children will need to enter 7th grade. So we have Massachusetts state requirements to enter 7th grade. Every student will need to turn in a copy of a physical exam from the past 12 months. And there are 2 immunizations that are required for entry to 7th grade. The first one is a dose of Tdap, which is a booster for tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis. And the second one it was new this past school year is 1 dose of Menactra, which is the meningococcal vaccine. Normally, in a normal year, I do the state mandated screenings, vision and hearing, and BMI screening for all 7th graders, and postural screenings for all students, grades 7 and 8. We also do, in conjunction with usually with the guidance department, we do the SBIRT training, which is screening and brief intervention and referral to treatment. It's a process and a tool to identify and address substance abuse. And if you wish to opt out of any screenings, please send me an email or a letter. This year, everything has been suspended because of the pandemic. So I'm not sure if we will be getting any of these trainings in this year, but I suspect that next year we should be back at it. But I look forward to meeting all of your children, and please feel free to touch base with me if you have any questions or any concerns at all.
Thank you, Nurse Landry. Okay. All right, so I'm back. So yeah, the last thing on our agenda tonight before we answer any questions you might have is our technology. So we are now recently last month we are a 1-to-1 district. So each student in this building has a school issued laptop, school issued Chromebook, I should say, that all students will get in the 7th grade. This is their device to take home over the summer, to move to the 8th grade with it, and then they'll eventually move to high school with it. So, there's no need to go out and buy, expensive devices, Chromebooks, and those devices, we have that taken care of. As we get closer to the school year over the summer, hopefully when things loosen up, we'll have some events over the summer, and one of those would include hopefully getting new Chromebooks in students' hands. So stay tuned for that. But most importantly, there's no need to go out and buy that next best thing or that laptop, because we will have it covered for you and your student as they enter the middle school. All right. So before we head to questions, I just want to remind everyone, I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. This presentation is recorded. We'll work on getting it up on the internet in the next 24 hours or so. So I know there was some people that had a tough time getting in. I stopped hearing the bell sound, and I guess there was a little backlog there. So if you logged in late, or you got admitted late, or you know of a family that wasn't able to make it tonight, you'll be able to find this on our website tomorrow, and we'll tweet out the link as well. All right, so now we're going to open up for questions. So I'm going to stop screen sharing here so I can.
Mr. Koenig, can I just add? I know there's some questions about transition.
Yep.
In a typical year, we would have the 3 elementary schools visit the middle school, have a tour. We would do a presentation about the school, and I know our COVID and our hybrid schedule has affected that in some way. And Mr. Koenig and I are always in talks and conversations of, can we do that and have those students come in and actually visit the school? And there's some things we have to discuss. We do have a one-day orientation with the 7th graders, are the only ones in school. So that late August before school starts, we have the kids come in, walk through their schedule, do all those kind of things. So there is some time to themselves, but we are trying to get creative here as we go into the spring. Again, we are not able to do our typical things that we do for those kids transitioning and coming to the school and touring and having our students give them a tour of the school and introduce ourselves to them. So there's different ideas and things we're putting together, but definitely there will be an orientation day in that late August before school starts time for them.
Thank you for that, Mr. Carlson. Yeah, we hope that things loosen up. We hope that things get better out there, and we want to do a lot of different activities for the 7th grade, particularly over the summer leading up. I don't know if the students definitely don't realize this, but I should open with this. But this is really the start of their Pentucket experience. They had their local their neighborhood schools for the first 7 years of their careers. So therefore, this is the first time they're coming together as a Pentucket community. They might see each other in different sports and things like that, but we pride ourselves on, we like to say, tradition starts here. So they're transitioning from their town elementary schools into the regional district, into the Pentucket experience. So we like to use the tag phrase, tradition starts here. But I think I made a mistake. I have Miss Hackett. I forgot to talk about world languages, didn't I? Ms. Hackett still on?
Yes, I am.
All right. Sorry about that, Ms. Hackett.
That's okay.
We forgot to talk about world languages. I apologize.
Oh, that's all right. So I'm Mrs. Hackett. I'm the World Languages Department Chair for levels 7 through 12. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. And so I just want to talk about world languages in grade 7. The district goal is to have 90% of all 7th graders take intro to world languages. So that's 1/4 of Spanish and 1/4 of German. So it's a semester-long class. They will take Spanish for 1/4 and then switch to German for the 2nd quarter. So we use the American Council of Teacher of Foreign Languages proficiency model. So languages these days look a little bit different than in traditional times. We focus less on grammar. We focus on more usage. It's a lot of fun. And I really am looking forward to meeting all the students next year. Any questions?
And then in 8th grade, Ms. Hackett, in 8th grade, they'll have a choice of.
Right. So yeah. So in 8th grade, they make the choice to either take Spanish or German in high school, and if I have a couple of minutes, I'll talk about the Seal of Biliteracy, which we put into place a few years ago. This is, if students take all 5 years, this is why it's so important for students to take language in 7th grade and be placed in 8th grade. If they take language from 8th grade through 12th grade, they have an opportunity to get the Seal of Biliteracy from the state of Massachusetts, which allows them to be placed in college. Like, so they either get financial credit for, they don't have to take language in college, or they get placed in a higher level based on the Seal of Biliteracy Award, and they're considered biliterate, which is great for the job market, great for college applications, and so yeah, we just have a great program. We have great teachers, and we're all looking forward to saying welcome to the new 7th graders next year.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Hackett. Sorry, I forgot about you there.
Oh, that's okay.
No, but the intro to world languages in 7th grade has been a great class. It really exposes students to both languages so that they can make an informative decision when they get to 8th grade. So it's a great program. So lucky to have it. So thank you again, Ms. Hackett. Ms. Hackett is also our department head for the foreign language, the world language department. World language department. So Ms. Hackett is the department head for that department. All right. Did I miss anybody?
Mr. Conant, a quick question.
Yep.
Yep. Mr. Conant, a quick question. We got in the Chromebook, the school-issued Chromebook versus students using their own that they may feel comfortable with versus the Chromebook issued by the school that certainly is really made to interact with our systems, and our MCAS has to be done on our Chromebooks. And I think a parent asked that, and we've been kind of open, and maybe you can go into more depth about, it's like a yes or no question answer.
Yeah, so students, sometimes the students will bring in their own devices, touch screens and things like that. They have a little more bells and whistles that they're comfortable with, and that is fine. They can certainly bring in their own devices. Except when it comes to the school device, all the some software built in behind the screens, to keep kids safe. There's certainly with the MCAS, it's a secure Chromebook for the MCAS, so all of those assessments have to be taken on the school-issued Chromebook. But currently we have students that we've issued Chromebooks to, and they leave them at home because they do have that just a slightly better one that mom and dad bought them. So we're pretty lenient with that. But when we get to some of these standardized testings, the iReadies and things like that, and the MCAS, we really like them to use the school devices. Plus it does have some built-in securities, so we can monitor and see what kids are doing, making sure they're staying safe, and put any interventions in place if things do pop up. That if there's unsafe behavior or other things that occur, it allows us to know about it early on, allows us to deal with it and solve the issue for the student. All right. Any other questions out there? Well, that was a lot of information. So again, I know it's been recorded, so you can go back and watch, or if you have any questions, you can certainly email us. Did any of the chat? I know Ms. Simone, you just sent me a text saying you answered a lot of the questions in the chat. Is there any question that we didn't answer? Quiet group. All right. So yeah, like I said, I just want to start off again by welcoming you to our we're to our Pentucket. Tradition does start here, so we're looking forward to that bottleneck of the elementary schools, coming into one middle school, and of all the things that go along with it. Like I said, as Mr. Carlson said, we're hoping things loosen up here soon. Hoping things get better. So we can certainly do some things with your children over the summer to get them acclimated, to get them psyched and ready for the middle school. It's a big jump. Again, I just want to echo that I've been in your shoes if this is your first time. I've had a middle schooler go through. I know it's a stressful time. But they'll be fine. We got them. We got this, and we're going to take good care of them. And we're so looking forward to a new group coming in next year and getting to know them and seeing them blossom and grow as learners and as people, more importantly. So thanks again, everyone, for attending. If there's no more questions, we'll talk soon. And the plan is to get down to the elementary schools in the spring. I forgot to mention that. So, either on a Google Meet or in person, hopefully in person if things get better. But either way, we're gonna head down to the elementary schools, either virtually or in person, to meet your children. And it's a great day. I love seeing the smiles on their faces. So I'm looking forward to that day. So if no more questions. We'll see you all very, very soon, and have a good night. All right,
Thank you.
Any staff that's still on, thank you so much for attending tonight. I appreciate it.